It's a Friday night in February in the city of Gibraltar, where police from 4 different agencies have descended in search of a shooter.
You got this, son?
One of the responding departments is Flat Rock Police, and there, stepping out of the black SUV, is Brian Tetro, Flat Rock's canine officer and a sergeant. His fellow officers didn't know it that night, but Tetro arrived at the crime scene after he'd been drinking.
Shots fired into 2 different houses. Van crashed into a shed.
Police were told that 5 suspects fled the scene after a shooting, and officers were there to find them. But early on, there were signs that the sergeant was not himself.
2 people on foot ran into the woods.
As an officer brings him up to speed, Tetro is seen adjusting his shoes. In the middle of February, with temperatures in the 20s, Tetro arrived to the active crime scene wearing Crocs.
Didn't realize wearing Crocs till I left the house.
The sergeant was off duty when he got the call to come in. Quickly, he and his canine begin the search for suspects, first along the tree line, then deeper into the subdivision. Minutes later, the sergeant focuses his attention inside a crawl space under one of the homes.
Anybody inside this building, you're gonna get bit!
Tetro pulls out his loaded firearm and appears to aim it into the crawl space, but no one was there. Seconds later, he can be seen struggling to put his gun back in its holster. An internal investigation would later say Tetro had the odor of intoxicants on his breath, that he reported for duty under the influence and appeared intoxicated. Initially, the city didn't want us to see the investigation at all, denying our public records request. But when we appealed to Flat Rock's mayor, his office turned over a redacted copy with entire sections blacked out. That included this email sent to the city's mayor and police chief by a resident who had witnessed the sergeant's behavior. The city blacked out part of it, but we've obtained an unredacted copy, revealing that the woman said Tetro vomited twice before stumbling after another officer, and that he looked like he was drunk. That moment appears to be caught on body camera too, though the city blurred the video, obscuring the sergeant. A suspect would later be apprehended. Thankfully, no one was hurt as a result of the sergeant's conduct. In a memo, Flat Rock Police Chief Jerry Page said Tetro's behavior is the very definition of conduct unbecoming of an officer, adding, "The civil liabilities of your actions put the city of Flat Rock in a position I never want to be in." But even though the sergeant had the odor of alcohol on his breath, there was no record he was ever breathalyzed. And while it's a crime to drive a vehicle while intoxicated and carry a firearm while under the influence, we've learned no warrant was submitted to the Wayne County prosecutor. Tetro was never charged with a crime. He was suspended for 7 days.
If the average citizen pulls up in their car, intoxicated, vomiting, armed, in front of a bunch of cops, are they going to walk away with no criminal charges?
Highly doubt that.
We shared the city's investigation with Reggie Crawford, a retired Detroit police officer and former member of the Board of Police Commissioners, which oversees DPD.
But it goes beyond embarrassment. It's the sheer danger of the situation. Driving a vehicle to the scene, having a gun, the danger, not only to himself, the officer, danger to the other officers, danger to the community.
Chief, how you doing? Can we talk to you briefly?
Chief Jerry Page would not agree to an interview, so we found him at a city council meeting held earlier this month.
Your own officer suspected the sergeant was drunk. Why was he not given a breathalyzer?
We received a complaint. That complaint was investigated, and he had no other discipline in his record, and he was disciplined.
And your officers believed he was intoxicated, yet he was not given a breathalyzer.
Yeah, I can't testify to what was brought to my attention later. So.
Is this the same deal that other citizens would have received?
I have no further comment.
After walking away from our questions, Jerry Page attended that night's city council meeting where, moments later, he submitted his retirement as police chief. The mayor later telling me the timing is merely a coincidence.
What does a scenario like this make you think?
That they were looking out for him. It has the appearance that you looked out for the officer.
I reached Sergeant Tetro by phone, but he declined comment for this story. As part of his discipline, he agreed to serve his week-long suspension, seek medical treatment if necessary, and subject himself to random breathalyzer tests. As of last Friday, Chief Jerry Page is no longer with Flat Rock PD. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.